In this lesson, we're going to finish up the Amazon 2 client against the RESTful e-commerce service. You're looking at the working file, Amazon 2 code.3, and it sums up some of what we've done so far. So let me begin with the so-called binding. The binding connects an XML data type, in this particular case, an item lookup response document as described in the Amazon XML schema, and a Java data type. In this case, the item lookup response class that we got from the Java XJC utility. Given that binding, we can now do what is called marshalling and unmarshalling. Marshall is the name of a researcher who did a lot of work, and so in his honor, these processes are described using his name. So let me begin with marshalling. The way marshalling works is as follows. On the Java side, you have an in-memory object. In this case, let's say, an instance of an item lookup response. Marshalling then generates the corresponding XML document. In our case, marshalling is not what we're interested in. We're interested in the inverse process, going from the XML document that we get from Amazon to an instance of an item lookup response class. So the unmarshalling then, to put it in context, works as follows. We send a request to Amazon, we get back the item lookup response document, we unmarshal that to get a Java object. That Java object encapsulates all of the information in the original XML response document, and then we use standard Java code to extract the desired information. So let's take a look at that. The working file is now Amazon 2 code 4, and this is the actual code in the Amazon 2 jar file. As before, the name of the method is getAuthor. The parameter, string XML, is the XML document that we got from Amazon. So let me begin with the analysis. At line 1, there's a reference to Amazon.xsd. That's the XML schema that was downloaded from Amazon. It's included for convenience in the Amazon 2.jar file. We use that to create a schema instance. So Java has a class called schema, as you'd expect. And that's all preparatory for line 3, which is the critical one. The JAX-B context in Java terms is all of the information that Java needs in order to convert between Java on the one side and XML documents on the other side. In particular, the JAX-B context uses reflection in order to gain the needed information about a given class. In this case, of course, it's the item lookup response class, and you see that at line 3. From the context at line 4, we get an unmarshaller. Then down at line 5, this is where the real work occurs. We use the unmarshaller to take the XML document and convert it into a Java object. Nice and clean, one line of code basically after the preparation. Now the code from line 6 on down looks a little complicated, but there's reason for that. When you do a lookup request against Amazon, for example, we did it on a Harry Potter novel, you might actually do it on everything about Harry Potter. Books, movies, records, toys, everything. So the response document, in principle, could be very complicated. In particular, from a programmer's point of view, that response can be a list of various other lists. So what we get back, you can see at line 6, in the Java correspondence, is a list of so-called items. Each of those items is itself a list, as the plural suggests. So at line 7, there's a for loop to iterate over that outer list, and on each iteration, we grab one of the inner lists, and then at line 9, we iterate across that inner list. Again, if you were going to do this only once, it would probably not be worth the effort, but think of yourself as doing this day in and day out in web services. Now, for each item, we grab the attributes, because that's the information that's of interest to us in this case. Down at line 11, we get a list of authors. In this case, of course, it's simple. There's only one author. At line 12, we extract the one and only author. In this case, of course, it's Rowling. So let me summarize by emphasizing again the big picture. The nice thing about JAX-B is that it allows us to work exclusively in Java and to avoid explicit XML parsing. The downside of JAX-B is that we need some preparatory work. We need to learn an API. We have to know about the JAX-B context, marshalling, unmarshalling, and all of that. My 2 cents is that this is certainly worth the effort if you're going to do this on a regular basis. If you were writing a one-off application, parsing the XML directly might be the way to go. But for repeated applications, such as applications against Amazon, JAX-B offers some wonderful functionality.